Hello and welcome to this video. We are going to talk about the Long Island Railroad schedule changes once again that are taking place on November 13th and the ongoing discrimination against Mineola, because it's obvious that Mineola is being discriminated against. It really doesn't get any more obvious. So we're going to first overview the schedule changes once again. The railroad has put a summary about these schedule changes. So it says Long Island Railroad schedule changes starting November 13th. We're making changes to our schedules. It says new timetables take effect on all LIRR branches on Monday, November 13th. And they go over the changes that are taking place. So on the Babylon branch, the 5:24 a.m. from Wantagh will originate in Babylon at 5:04 and make local stops along the branch and run to Atlantic Terminal instead of Grand Central. So a service expansion for the Babylon branch. A new weekday train departs Penn Station at 2:38 p.m., stopping at Jamaica and Rockville Center, and then all stops to Babylon. Another service expansion. The 7:24 a.m. from Atlantic Terminal to Freeport will terminate at Jamaica, so that's one cut. And then the 7:40 p.m. train from Penn Station to Babylon will no longer run, so that's one cut there. On the Port Washington branch, they're making several changes to morning rush hour service to provide more express trains from Nassau County to Penn Station. So it's all to serve the people in Port Washington because, that's a little bit of an enclave too. After these changes, all 5 westbound trains departing Port Washington between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. will run to Penn Station, and 4 of them will be express west of Great Neck. So the bad thing is they're cutting most of the Grand Central service from Port Washington. So the 6:47 a.m. train from Port Washington will leave at 6:42 a.m. and no longer stop at Little Neck, Douglaston, or Bayside and run to Penn Station instead of Grand Central, arriving at 7:22 a.m. So now Little Neck, Douglaston, or Bayside have seen their service cut. The 7:18 a.m. train from Port Washington will run nonstop from Great Neck to Penn Station, arriving at 7:54 a.m. The 6:28 and 7:03 trains from Great Neck will add stops at Little Neck and Douglaston. So I guess that's to make up for the train that was cut. The 7:38 a.m. train from Little Neck will start in Great Neck and run to Grand Central instead of Penn Station. The 7:54 a.m. train from Port Washington to Penn Station will leave 1 minute earlier and add a stop at Bayside. The 7:11 p.m. train from Port Washington will run to Penn Station instead of Grand Central. And the 8:44 train from Grand Central to Port Washington will run from Penn Station instead. So, on the Ronkonkoma branch, the 5:30 a.m. from Ronkonkoma will run to Atlantic Terminal instead of Grand Central. So there is direct train from to Atlantic on the Ronkonkoma branch. Only in the morning, though. Westbound midday trains from Ronkonkoma that currently run from Penn Station will run to Grand Central and vice versa to provide more evenly spaced service west of Jamaica. And this, they're actually leaving something out. They're actually leaving the cut that they made. They're not even mentioning the cuts at Mineola. Where did they go? So it just talks about the rush hour service here. So the 7:01 and 7:49 trains from Grand Central to Ronkonkoma will no longer run. So those are cut. And the 11:23 p.m. from Ronkonkoma to Penn Station will no longer run. So you have 3 trains cut from the schedule at Ronkonkoma. The 11:50 p.m. train from Ronkonkoma will run to Penn Station instead of Grand Central. So they're cutting service on the Ronkonkoma line. It's clear, and they don't even mention the changes at Mineola on this. It says updated October 22nd at 11 a.m. So why did they take it out of there? Are they trying to hide it or something? Well, let's go look at the schedules. That's not what we want to look at. We want to look at the PDF schedules. We'll do this. Maybe they restored them? I don't know. Probably not. They're just leaving it out. So let's review these schedules again, because I'm pretty sure they're still going to skip Mineola. Yeah, they're still going to skip Mineola, but they're not telling people about it. So you see now all the trains that run between Grand Central and Ronkonkoma will skip Mineola. That's still occurring. There's no reason for this. So now Mineola has been demoted to getting 3 trains an hour when it really should have 4 trains an hour. There's no reason any train should be skipping Mineola, especially when it's going to stop at UBS. You see the stops at UBS on these evenings trains as well. So you see that this hasn't changed at all. So I don't know why they left that out of the thing, because they did have it there originally, but now they left it out. So And what if there's an event at Elmont UBS? We went over this already when we went over the schedules. And you'll still have the midday trains, too, skipping Mineola, several of them. But in the middays now, these are going to be trains that are going to run to Penn Station. These midday trains that they cut, I didn't even mention this the last time. Yeah, they're Penn Station trains. So now Mineola is going to get one less Penn Station train an hour. So they're really just screwing Mineola. It's just blatantly obvious what's going on. We have some more track work. I don't know what this is about. Let's see what this is about. Amont. Oh, they've cut service. So now we're going to go through another week of hourly service on the Ronkonkoma line, too. So this is this coming weekend. So clocks will be set back. So let's see. We're only going to have hourly service. Yep. So they cut the service back to hourly. So they're doing some work. Divide Amont. I don't know what that involves exactly. I think they're doing a more concrete tie replacement over there. So you can see, yeah, we're going to have more hourly service again. At least they'll all stop at Mineola. So it doesn't make any difference. But, yeah, you're going to have hourly. So reduced service on the main line again. I don't know. They're taking their time with this Divide Amont TLM. I don't know what the hell that means. But I'm assuming it has to do with the track replacement. Because they haven't replaced a lot of the tracks yet. No, they haven't. We're going to get into that, too, in this video as well. So let's see. The Port Jefferson. Yeah, it's going to be reduced service on the main line again for this weekend. So, yeah, you're going to only have hourly service on the main line, of course. So, yeah, because they're doing track work in Hicksville again. I don't know. They're dragging this out for as long as they can. I don't know what's going on. Of course, the Babylon branch will keep all their service, as you see. As a result, they just love screwing the main line. And that's the point. More and more people are taking the Babylon branch. I notice the Babylon trains are much more crowded now because everybody's been conditioned to go down there. That's civilization. Where we live is not civilization. And that's what they're trying to tell us right now. So they got that track work going on. And, yeah, let's take a look at some of those pictures. I have them somewhere. Yeah, so here are the pictures. I did find them. This is Bethpage. This was taken October 15th. They still haven't replaced these wooden tracks yet. So what are they doing? They only replaced a very small segment of tracks around Hicksville, and that was it. So they're really just dragging this work out so they can prolong the misery for us. I mean, again, we went through three years of hell, and what do we have to show for it? They're cutting service. A lot of the weekends, they're cutting service back to the, only hourly on the Ronkonkoma line. Now we're approaching the holidays here. All right? And people are going to say, screw this. We're going to the South Shore. They don't want to deal with this. So it's all conditioned to, ruin the middle of the island, in particular, Mineola. So there's a Newsday article I want to read to you here. Find it. Here it is. All right? So it says here, more trains to Penn and Brooklyn. So changes by the LIRR further response to rider demands. The Long Island Railroad will further adjust its schedules next month to address demands from riders, including by adding a few more trains serving Brooklyn and Penn Station and eliminating some trains serving Grand Central Madison. The railroad's new chief said he expects the schedule changes, which will take effect November 13th, will further bolster the LIRR's improving ridership. How do we zoom in here? Zooming in. That'd be nice. Here we go. So the railroad's new. All right. So it says speaking at his first meeting at the Metropolitan Transportation Authority's board railroad committee since becoming acting LIRR president last week, Robert Free said that the ridership gains are further proof that the schedule adjustments we've made over the almost 8 months now are really leading to some positive results for our consumers. Our upcoming November 13th schedule changes continue that practice. The new timetables include 2 more morning trains from stations on Long Island to Atlantic Terminal in Brooklyn, and 1 from Ronkonkoma and 1 from Wantaw. More morning peak express trains on the Port Jefferson branch, and the permanent addition of an afternoon Babylon train out of Penn Station that previously operated only occasionally. The streamlining of some LIRR trips will mean fewer westbound trains will stop at Mineola during the weekends. The new schedules developed using customer feedback, also leave 1 hour gaps in middays between trains at some stations on the LIRR's main line, including Maryland Avenue. This is ridiculous and it's unacceptable, Charlton D'Souza, president of Passengers United, an advocacy group, said in public comments at the meeting. We're very, very upset about this. And yes, Charlton spoke, even though I didn't. But I can't rule out speaking in the future. Though, again, it just seems like it's a waste of time because they don't care. A lot of LIRR officials said even with the changes, Mineola will maintain plentiful weekend service and that ridership is light at the stations, losing some trains. Yes, but you promised people half-hourly service and you went back on your word. You know, how come every station on the Babylon branch and every station on the Port Washington branch gets half-hourly service, but not the main line? Why is that? Why? We all know why that is. We all know why that is. All right? The reason why the ridership is light is because you made it light by making the service stink. And then you added service and never gave it a chance for people to use it. Some of the added Brooklyn and Penn Station trains will replace ones that currently serve Grand Central Madison, where demand has been below the LIRR's original projections. However, Free said there have been an increase recently in the number of passengers traveling to and from Grand Central. The new terminal now accounts for about 36% of Manhattan ridership, up from 30% when it opened. Free said throughout the system, the LIRR's post-Labor Day ridership has been extremely strong, especially outside of the rush hours. September marked the first month that the LIRR's monthly off-peak passenger count, about 3.57 million, surpassed that of the same month in 2019 before the COVID-19 pandemic began. And the LIRR reached several other COVID-era ridership milestones since September, including the highest ridership weekday average, the highest Friday ridership, and the 5 highest morning rush hour passenger counts. The approximately 5.56 million total riders carried by the LIRR in September is nearly 74% of what the LIRR carried in September of 2019, a year in which the railroad went on to set a modern ridership record of about 91 million passengers. Ridership plummeted the following year as people stopped taking the train due to their right. Well, I'm not going to read that whole thing. Free attributed the recent gains to tweaks made to the LIRR's timetables in September, following months of complaints from riders about the schedule overhaul that came with the opening of Grand Central Madison in February. The adjustments, which took place on September 5th, rerouted some Grand Central trains to Penn Station, added more express trains during the rush hours, and restored some morning trains from Long Island to Brooklyn. Our nonstop ridership analysis and all the methodological schedule adjustments, big and small, that we've made since the unprecedented 41% service increase from February have produced schedules that made the most sense for the rider, Free said. So, depends on where you are. I guess if you're, in an important place, I guess, but if you're in the middle of the island, particularly Mineola, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And I did get a response from Jack Martins. I wrote him. He said he wants to meet with Free about this. He agrees that the train shouldn't be skipping Mineola. I mean, it's ridiculous to have any train off-peak skipping Mineola and then demoting these other stations to hourly service when the train's passing right by anyway. Why are they doing this? They lied. They lied. It's all lies. And you got to wonder who they serve. Because it doesn't seem like they serve us. It seems like they serve a certain demographic because finance controls the MTA. And Rob Free, for all, he's got a blue-collar background, but his hands may be tied in all this. Just like Phil Ang, he couldn't do what he wanted to do because it's the Wall Street brass that run the MTA, not common sense. All right, and they want to look out for their people on the South Shore. They really do. We're going to look at the Long Island Railroad Twitter because something also happened this evening, and this is exactly the kind of stuff that happens because they never put an island platform at Mineola. So we had a medical emergency on the train, and what did they do? They had westbound trains. It was a westbound train that had a medical emergency, and what did they do? Well, they have all the other trains bypass Mineola on the middle track because there's no island platform. So think about it. Before the project, if this happened, they would have just had the train stop on the other side. But now they just have it bypass Mineola. So in some ways, we're worse. So you see what happened here. It was the 528 train from Ronkonkoma, Penn Station. At least it was a westbound. If you're going east, though, you're even more screwed if that happened going east. This is the problem. We don't have I'm better off in Hicksville. Hicksville's going to have more service. They're going to have 4 trains an hour. I know we have the Oyster Bay train. That doesn't run every hour, and that is of no use if I'm going east. All right? That is of no use if I'm going east. All right? So they struck a bunch of trains from the schedule. And we go here and we look at the thing that we were looking at before here. All right? I want to figure out, all right, so the 701 and 749 trains from Grand Central, were those 2 trains also that stopped at Ronkonkoma as well? Because I have a feeling they stopped at Mineola as well. We're going to actually have to go to the old schedule to find out, but we will. We will go there because that may be more cuts all right, so we'll look at the current schedule. So the 701 and the 749. So they're getting rid of these 2 trains from Grand Central. So we go to the eastbound peak here, 701 and 749. I think they did stop at Mineola. Yes, they did. So they actually cut two more trains from Mineola now. Yep. Look at that. Because they cut that train from Mineola, the 801, now you're going to have, well, this isn't going to show the other. It's going to, you're going to have a 45-minute gap in, let's see, I'm trying to see. Yeah, the train before it doesn't stop at Mineola. So, yeah, Mineola's getting screwed again. So now if you need an eastbound train, I mean, it just doesn't end. I mean, we went through 3 years of hell, and what do we have to show for it? They're slowly rolling back all the improvements they made. And what do we have to show for it? Nothing. All the project did was divide our community more and make it even harder to get around with that stupid tunnel on Willis Avenue that was poorly designed. It made it worse. It hurt our town. We were better off before this happened, before this project. It's more about having redundancy for them and on the precious South Shore so they can get the equipment that they need for them. Because those people on the Babylon branch and the Port Washington branch as well, those are mainly white-collar areas, and that's what this organization... So, yeah, it's illegal. It's a violation of Title VI, but, again, everything is corrupt in this state. Wall Street runs the state, and I've got another article to show you here that kind of proves my point. So this was in Newsday as well. MTA paid for pickleboard court, snowblowers, and welcome signs to build new third track. And so a lot of these other towns, except Mineola, we didn't get any of this. There was like community funds that they kind of, there was community benefits funds. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You put the link here, but it says some of these signs, welcome to Garden City Park. They got a Garden City got a lot of money from it. New Hyde Park got money from it. Even Westbury got money from it. The town of North Hempstead got money from it. But guess who didn't get anything? Mineola. So I'm going to just show you the quote here about Mineola so you can see what some of the money that, an example, $461,000 for the purpose of a debris vacuum truck and two new slow blowers for Westbury. $141,000 for new ambulance equipment in New Hyde Park. $2 million in upgrades for 3 town of North Hempstead parks. And $200,000 for Welcome to Garden City Car Place and Newcastle signs. All right, Mineola got nothing. Floral Park got money too. Floral Park Recreation Center. All right, and they do bring up Mineola. They do so because they know Mineola is like worthless. We don't have any power. We don't have any power in this town. We have no political power at all. We have no political clout. It's a political black hole, Mineola. So let's find the village of Mineola. They brought it up here. So when the third track was finished in October 2022, Mineola Mayor Paul Pereira, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, issued a statement complaining of the ongoing mess and inconvenience of all the construction, and that Mineola was not included among the municipalities that received money out of the community benefits fund as of December. But speaking at an event last month celebrating the third track and related improvements at Mineola Station, Pierre said project officials have since approved funding for several improvements in his village, including new big belly garbage cans, benches, lighting upgrades, and parking payment kiosks in its downtown area. Our residents and our commuters put up with a lot of disruptions during the construction for many years Perry area said, "I feel like the residents of our village bore the brunt for the longest, and I feel it is right and understandable, and it is fair that there would be a community benefits fund." So, yeah, and we did bear the brunt of it. It definitely did. So I'm going to show you some graphs here. We got some graphs. I think it's this one right here. Here we go, from Newsday. So here we go. These are some graphs here, and you can see the total spending here. Town of North Hempstead, look at how much they got here. Nassau County, Village of Westbury, Village of Garden City, Village of Floral Park, Village of New Hyde Park, and nothing for Mineola so far. So this is exactly what I mean about, this is more about just dumping on this town, redlining it, and making it not a desirable place to live. All right? You can see all these things. These are all the things that they got here. Land surveying to determine boundaries of 26 additional traffic enforcement for on-scene. We never got any of this. We still don't have a way to cross Willis Avenue. You have to go over to Main Street to cross over to the other side because they never put a tunnel. Look at this. Upgrades to Hempstead Line pedestrian tunnel. Yeah, they get a pedestrian tunnel. We don't even get that. We don't even get that in our station. Village of Floral Park. Look at all these things that have nothing to do with the project. Pickleball, courts. That's what you call pork. All right, and there's a lot of it here. Additional restoration work, additional curbing, sidewalks, additional landscaping, and other beautification projects on haul routes. You could look at this. You know, installation of pool screen at village swimming pool. I don't even get any of this, man. We got nothing. All right, and the village is like, they're upset about it. Yeah, where weren't they upset about it years ago? You know, they don't really want to come. They don't want to fight. I've given them the opportunity to speak at the committee meetings. I've told them, why don't you speak at committee meetings? They don't do anything. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. Town of North Hempstead, pave Urban Avenue. Cherry Lane, repaving. Yeah, they got a nice park there in Charles Fusillo Park there in Carl Place, even though they are being screwed with hourly service. So it's just so much corruption going on. Really, wayfinding signs. I mean, really. I mean, things are falling apart in this town, and I mean, what can I say? So there you go. Obviously, it's not good. It's not a good situation. And it just, everything is just confirming everything I've been saying. And what's going on in Suffolk County, well, just bring this up even though it's a different topic, but they're putting our box on a lot of the middle of the island routes. The South Shore gets all the full-size buses. We already have discrimination. It's just very obvious what's going on. It's all about the South Shore. It's all about them. But that is going to wrap up this video here. And this is a parking lot here. Fixed street lights. This parking lot I walk through almost every night off 2nd Avenue by Willis. No street lights. They've been out for months. I got the full moon lighting things up. Might as well be living in the middle of nowhere. This is the way we're treated here. We're treated like a doormat. We're treated like a dumping ground. We're treated like a toilet here in Mineola. And it's outrageous. It really is. And I'm hoping Jack Martins can help us. But, it's just the way this town is. It's you can keep fighting. You can try to get out. And I'm just trying to get out because I don't think there's any hope left for this place. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and good night.